That it's planning to cut about 1,000 jobs as part of its turnaround strategy. SAA says no board resolution has taken this decision. The cash-strapped airline is reportedly spending about 35 million rand on bodyguards for 5 senior personnel. SAA CEO Vuyani Jahana, who is alleged to have signed a 2-year deal with a security company, has denied this, saying the figure was fabricated. Earlier this month, the Auditor General announced that SAA lost over 5 billion rand and that the airline needed a turnaround plan. The airline is attempting to return to profitability by cutting routes and selling part of the business. SAA recently suspended its Chief Financial Officer Phumeza Natsi and former acting CEO Musa Zwane, but refused to give reasons for the suspensions. NUMSA says workers should not be blamed for the corruption and inefficiencies of top executives at SAA. Unions NUMSA and SAFTU plan to march on Wednesday the 21st, saying that the state is trying to take away South Africans' right to strike and to remind government that workers' rights are human rights. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola from NUMSA and Chavalala from SAFTU, who is the president, join me in studio now. Thanks so much both for your time on SABC News. Let's start with the strike and what you say government is trying to do with workers' right to strike.
Yes, absolutely. Excuse me. Thank you for having us on air. What we believe the state is doing is attacking workers in this country. They have introduced legislation which is going to force workers to ballot or hold secret ballots before they go on strike. Their justification for this, they've dressed it up by saying that it is a way for them to deepen democracy. What it is actually is a bureaucratic way to prevent us from going on strike. We say this because some of the conditions that come with the proposals, besides the fact that balloting is a very costly, a very cumbersome and complicated exercise. One of the conditions, for example, is that the managers of the company must be there to witness the balloting process, which is frankly absurd. We find that it is ridiculous in the extreme for the state to suggest that workers do not have a democratic culture when they make the decision to go on strike. And the way we see it, these proposals, along with the proposal of the national minimum wage of 20 rand per hour, are not designed to improve the lives of the working class. They're designed, in fact, to create a very cheap pool of African labor which will not be able to go on strike because of all of the impediments and the obstacles that have been created as a result of the balloting process.
I just want to bring in the 20 rand minimum wage that you're rejecting and ask a question which some people have said: is it not better to have any work that pays something like 20 rand an hour than have people not being employed?
Thank you very much. Look, with the level of poverty in our country today as we speak, workers find that very, very difficult to accept. You will understand that, workers travel from home to work. They take their kids to school and have a whole lot of other things to do. Now, we cannot, as SAFTU say, that is the way to go. In fact, that is what workers are actually rejecting, and they are asking difficult question whether this whole thing about the minimum wage is what Cyril Ramaphosa called the New Deal or the New Dawn. Is this what he is actually talking about? So they are very angry. There's a lot of anger out there, and that's why they want to take to the streets.
Tell me about the march on Wednesday. You've collaborated. It's not just one union going on strike. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, indeed. So it's NUMSA working together with about 21 other organizations, including SAFTU, of course, as well as GIWUSA, the Casual Workers Advice Office, Lawyers for Human Rights, Community Health Workers Organization. So really a myriad of pro-working class organizations who are not represented as part of FEDUSA or COSATU or any of those other sellout trade union federations who clearly are not interested in protecting workers' rights. We are very concerned about the impact of the national minimum wage. You know, the justification, for example, when you say any work is better than no work, is quite ridiculous. That would be the same, for example, if somebody said to you, you should be satisfied with prostituting yourself because, hey, any work is better than no work. That's completely unacceptable, and it's not something that we can accept. 20 Rand per hour is a benchmark for low wages in this country. There's no way that it can be fair for members of the working class to earn 20 Rand per hour when CEOs are earning in excess of 69,000 Rands a day. When is this country going to take this issue of the wage gap between CEOs and ordinary workers seriously? South Africa leads even more than the United States in terms of the largest gap between CEOs and ordinary workers. The goal of this national minimum wage is that it was supposed to tackle inequality, poverty, and unemployment. Now, if you're earning 20 Rand per hour and your hours are restricted to 4 hours a day, how does that tackle inequality, poverty, and unemployment when you have to use your income to support more than 4 to 5 dependents on it? It's really, really unfair. And it's clear that what the state is trying to do is to create a society where black labor continues to be cheap labor, just like it was under apartheid, but this time we're going to take away their rights to strike at the same time.
In this instance, you're talking about coming together with over 20 unions who you say are not the sellout unions for purpose. I want to move the conversation away from the march on Monday to an issue that you've almost touched on when you were interdicting government over independent power producers, and to the bigger issue of artificial intelligence that's coming into the country, to the bigger issue of renewable energies, technologies and ways of working and living that are going to come in regardless of unions protesting. What role do you have as unions to not just try and stop independent power producers from coming in and providing clean energy in South Africa, perhaps getting rid of an outdated technology such as coal, but to look at work and say work is going to fundamentally change in South Africa? How do we make sure workers are not left behind? How do we make sure that people adapt and that we're not fighting something that's inevitable?
You know, I think it's very important that we must clarify. NUMSA is not opposed to independent power producers, and we're certainly not opposed to renewable energy. What we are opposed to is a renewable energy sector that is driven by the private sector. We are where we are with climate change, where the environment has been destroyed because capitalists have destroyed the environment, and they have destroyed they're responsible rather for climate change. What we've been advocating for as NUMSA is a worker-controlled renewable energy sector. What we are seeing coming in is not a worker-controlled renewable energy sector. The same people who are responsible for destroying the environment and bringing us to where we are today want to now control that. And their motive is profit. Their motive is not the environment. Don't be misled. These people don't give a damn about preserving the environment and ensuring a sustainable future. What they care about is getting rich very quickly and ensuring that they exploit workers in the process. Now, if you look at the Paris Accord, which South Africa signed up to, which speaks precisely about what you're talking about, it speaks about the process of a just transition. And part of the just transition, it stipulates that there must be consultation, which has not taken place. I have to interrupt you and very briefly get your thoughts on AI as we're about to run out of time for the interview.
Look, it's obvious that what is called Fourth Industrial Revolution is going to create problems for the workers, in that not much has been done by employers to actually prepare the workers and to make sure that they take workers on board. That has not happened. So we are not convinced that workers and the employers are actually ready in terms of moving forward.
It's a conversation that needs a little bit more time, and we have run out of time. And our thanks both so much for your time on SABC News. There will be more business news after the break. Do stay with us.